Do you ever feel like you're building an ark with only the instructions for a canoe? If so, you're not alone. Welcome to CEO-ish, where we'll discuss traveling the path of the unknown while making it your own. Hi, welcome back to CEO-ish. I am Jill Donovan, and with me today is Kelly Smith. I say that, Kelly, like it's something brand new. With me today.
With today's special guest star is, I've always wanted to be a special guest star.
You are. Today you're a special guest star.
Every day I'm the special guest star.
Do you know what we're talking about today, Kelly?
I'm not sure. I like a surprise.
Okay. Today I want to talk about I'm going to ask you this question.
Okay.
And that's how you'll figure out what we're going to talk about. Your first job, what was it?
My first real job or my first job like as a teenager?
Just job.
I worked at Steak and Ale as a hostess.
Biggest thing you learned at your first job?
This is not funny. This is true. I learned consolidation.
Oh, at Steak and Ale?
Yes.
In what way?
Well, like they always say as a server, in training, they want you to consolidate your trips back and forth, like from the kitchen to the dining room. And so I would always have to think 10 steps ahead. Oh yeah, I need to get that and that and that and that and that. Consolidate your movements. So that was like truly.
Wow. How old were you?
I was like 17 or 18.
That you learned, first of all, that you learned something like consolidation.
The word consolidation.
Yes. But that's so smart because it can carry over into every other job. It's just a shame it didn't carry over into this job.
That's true.
Yeah.
But right now I'm making cups while I'm doing this podcast under the table.
Yes.
Consolidating.
What
was your first job?
Making the most of your time. I was a hostess at the Olive Garden.
We were both hostesses?
You were at the Olive Garden?
I just said Steak and Ale.
Okay, I know that.
I was a hostess.
I thought you were a waitress.
No, I was a hostess.
Okay. I was a hostess.
Did I not say hostess?
Did she say hostess? She said hostess. I was consolidating and
she was thinking of her answer.
I wasn't trying not to waste time. I was a hostess because I had not learned how to be a waitress.
Yes.
But you want to know what I learned?
I would love to know.
Okay. This is what I learned. Actually, it was two things.
Okay.
Number one, don't steal mints.
Mm-hmm.
You know those Olive Garden mints?
They don't want you to steal them?
I found out they don't.
Those are so good.
So one time I borrowed my manager's jacket. It was cold. And I stole 25 mints, but I left the wrappers in his jacket.
Right, because you're a teenager.
I was a teenager. And I might have gotten a little slap on the wrist for that. Mm-hmm. The other thing I learned is that a $20 bill will get you very far. People
As a hostess.
Well, it'll get other people very far.
That's true.
Yes. I used to accept $20 bills to move people up on the list. I
did too. But mine were $100 bills because I grew up in New Jersey.
Okay. I grew up in Pensacola, Florida. So $20 bills. And I would feel terribly guilty every time I did it.
Okay. Well, and that's the difference between you and I because I didn't feel guilty at all.
Still don't?
No.
I still do.
What?
Yes, I still do. I felt so guilty because I took that money and then I cheated my company out and all of the other people who had waited for an hour, and I allowed somebody. I want to apologize to all of the people.
I'm going to call. You're going to call everyone that you accepted the money from right now.
I should call the Olive Garden and apologize for all the mints that I stole.
You should.
Should I?
Well, sure.
I think I should.
Okay.
Would you get me the local number for Olive Garden, please?
In the meantime.
Mm-hmm. Do you need to call Steak and Ale and apologize for anything? Because that would be.
No, I don't. Because I don't feel guilty about anything.
How do you not feel guilty about?
I just took it was a bribe. Is that illegal?
I feel like bribes. I don't feel good about it. Never did.
All right. It's not a bribe. It was just there was somebody in a rush that needed to get to the front of the line. It was $100. That doesn't make me feel bad.
What if
that's just smart?
Okay. So the more money that it is, doesn't make you feel bad?
No.
Yeah. Wow. You don't have the character I thought you did.
Well, my husband will watch this and he'll say, mm-hmm, that's right.
Because he would feel guilty about it.
My lack of remorse about lots of things have been a marital issue. He's like, don't you feel bad about that? I'm like, no, I don't.
Now, here's the crazy part about that. I don't feel guilty going up to give somebody $20 to get I know it's called a
Ah.
double standard.
That is a double standard.
I know. I need Guile to work this through with me, because I don't feel bad saying, here's
Why don't you feel bad? Let me help
because
you
I'm
work
not
it
hurting other people. I'm not asking to be bumped up on a list. I just want better service. I guess I feel bad if there's a line of people. I don't do it if there's a line of people. But if I just want...
But why would the hostess who's accepting that money from you have to feel the guilt? If you don't feel the guilt...
I don't know.
Well, that's
I don't
double
know.
standard.
Yeah, it is a double standard.
Let's just let it go. It's not that
Let's
big
let
of a
it
deal.
go.
It's just a table.
But for the mint stealing, I do feel like I
All
need
right.
to call the
Now
Olive
that
Garden.
was stealing,
Okay.
and I would feel guilty about that.
We're talking about your first job and things that you learned on your first job, and maybe some things that you did that you don't feel so good about.
Hey,
The funny
I do feel a little bad about eating all of the French oak pie that I did eat at Steak and Ale.
I really feel like we should call Steak and Ale after we call the Olive Garden.
Is Steak and Ale still in business?
Yeah, I
That
think
was like
it is.
50 years ago.
No, I think it is. The funny thing is that sitting here at this podcast, which you can't see if you're watching the podcast, are two girls who this is their very first job.
That's true.
Mm-hmm. One of the questions I like to ask those of us who have gone on to 4th, 5th, and 6th jobs,
Yes.
what would you go back and tell your first job self? But better
that's
yet,
good.
what do you tell these two girls since it's their very first job ever?
Well, this is not advice from a previous job.
Yes.
This is advice from this job.
Okay.
This job is like no other job that you're ever going to get. That's the advice, is enjoy it, because
But I want them to go out to get another job for 6 months where they really
and
feel
they would be like, oh my God, is this what people are doing out here?
working?
Oh my
Wait,
gosh.
people work?
I want to go back to the dance party over at Rustic Cup.
We're going to call the Olive Garden because I'm still carrying with me some guilt from when I stole mints. I believe I was 18 years old as a hostess at the Olive Garden in Pensacola, Florida.
I would just like
call the Olive Garden in Pensacola, Florida.
I'd like to go on record as saying stealing mints feels to me like I took a box of 500 mints and I sold them in the parking lot. Eating 20 mints does not sound like a crime to me, but
That
right.
frightens me a little bit because how many cuffs do you take home in your pockets because it didn't feel like stealing?
like 20 or 30, what's a big deal?
No, wait, you don't think that like eating mints that you didn't pay for?
They're
is not-
free mints at the end.
Oh. It's just excessive eating though.
Okay.
Okay.
So it's the excessiveness that's bothering
It's
you.
not, I know the mints are free for the customers at the end. Number one, I wasn't a paying customer, okay? And number two, it was excessive eating.
That is
it
semantics right there.
It wasn't just 25 mints. I mean, I am certain I ate 500 all told, at least.
Okay.
And that's taking from the company.
Okay.
And I think that there are some times that we need to make our wrongs right. And I'm going to do
Okay.
it today.
I support you in your endeavor to make
Okay.
things right.
Do you have the phone number for the Olive Garden in Pensacola, Florida? We are going to apologize for stealing what it felt like to me was stealing. Was stealing mints. So we're calling the Olive Garden in Pensacola, Florida. Would they be open? Yep, it's noon. I'm sure they would love nothing more than to hear from me.
Lunchtime. I know what I would like to do, except the manager wants to real quick accept a phone call from a podcast.
Do I ask for the manager?
Yes.
Thank you for calling Olive Garden.
Somebody's got to answer.
May I help you today?
My name is Jill Reamer, and when I'm 49, but when I was 18, I used to work at that Olive Garden. I know this is going to sound crazy, but I stole a box of mints when I was 18, and I just needed to call and tell somebody at that Olive Garden that I am sorry 31 years later.
Okay.
So I guess I want to ask for you to forgive me on behalf of all Olive Garden employees.
Sure.
Will you forgive me for stealing all the mints?
Yeah, no big deal.
Can I ask you a question? Do you ever steal mints?
No.
You don't ever eat those little green packaged mints?
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of the mints.
Oh, you're not a fan of the Olive Garden mints, but you work at Olive Garden? Do you like their food?
I like their food. I'm just not crazy about the mints.
Yeah. Well, have you ever carried something for 31 years that you felt guilty about and just had to get it off your chest?
No.
No?
No.
What was your first job?
I'm not really comfortable answering all these questions. Would you like
Okay.
to talk to a manager?
No, I'm totally fine. Now that I'm forgiven, I'm good. Thank you so much for taking the call.
Okay.
She's reporting you to some sort of firm right now.
That felt good, though.
It felt good until she said she was uncomfortable.
When she used the word not comfortable is when I became uncomfortable. So, but listen.
But now, do you feel better?
I'm the guinea pig for everybody who's watching and listening. Think about your first job. What is it that you're still carrying? Perhaps maybe just a phone call like that will begin to lift off that heaviness.
There you go.
Yeah.
Do you feel
It's
better?
gone. I actually do. Now I'm actually craving
Olive Garden, right? Me too.
Garden mints. They're free to me. I'm a customer now. I can take as many as I want.
I think what you should do is you should get Olive Garden for lunch and then just leave a big tip and call it done.
I should have talked to the manager, but who's got time for that?
Nobody.
I'm free from the guilt now.
They're in a lunch rush. We gotta move on.
Thank you for joining us today on CEO-ish. We will see you next time. Thanks, Kelly.
Thank you.